The Queen's fingers traced delicately along Alice's cheek, and Alice shuddered, her body betraying her. There was no warmth, no humanity in her touch. Only an abyss that called to Alice's deepest fears and desires. You think you can resist me, but you cannot. I have marked you. Your blood has already been claimed. The Queen's lips parted, revealing her fangs, which glistened in the pale light. Alice's pulse quickened as a terrible realization sank in. The Queen wasn't just a ruler, a creature of darkness and power. She was a force, a fate that could not be outrun. Alice's blood, her very soul, had already been touched by the Queen's curse. She was bound, whether she accepted it or not. I don't belong to you, Alice gasped, though the words felt hollow even as they left her lips. She could feel the power of the Queen's curse wrapping around her, drawing her in. The Queen's smile widened, a twisted, knowing grin. You do not have a choice, Alice. You came here, seeking the truth of Ravencroft, but the truth is far darker than you could ever imagine. The curse of this town is older than you can fathom. It is my curse, and now it is yours. A sharp pang of terror lanced through Alice's chest, and her vision blurred for a moment, as if the world around her was shifting and warping, bending under the weight of the Queen's power. The ground beneath her seemed to tremble, and Alice sank to her knees, overwhelmed. You are mine now, the Queen continued, her voice an intoxicating lullaby. I have watched you. I have seen the darkness inside you. The curse that runs through Ravencroft runs through you, too. It was always meant to be this way. Alice's mind raced, trying to find a way out, to fight back. I can't let her have me. I won't give in. But every time she tried to break free, to grasp onto her own wool, it was as if the Queen's power closed around her tighter, like the tightening of a noose. The Queen bent down, her cold fingers lifting Alice's chin, forcing her to look up into her eyes. You think you have the strength to fight me, but you don't. You are nothing but a vessel. Your blood, your life, is now a part of me. I am the master here, Alice. You will serve me, in this life or the next. Alice's heart pounded as her breath caught in her throat. She wanted to scream, to push the Queen away, but it was as if her body had become a mere extension of the vampire's wool, a puppet bound by invisible strings. She could feel the power of the Queen seeping into her, like poison lacing her veins, altering her very essence. You can't resist what you are, the Queen said, her voice a seductive whisper. You are no longer just a mortal. You are mine, forever. The world around Alice began to fade, the edges of her vision darkening, until only the Queen remained, her figure glowing with an eerie, otherworldly light. Alice could feel the curse tightening around her, sinking deep into her bones, and she realized with a cold, bitter certainty that there was no escape. Ravencroft had claimed her, and the Queen had claimed her soul. The Vampire Queen's lips brushed Alice's ear, and she whispered, "Welcome to your new life, Alice. Welcome to eternity." Alice's world shifted. It wasn't just the curse that wrapped around her like chains. It was the very fabric of her existence. Her identity, her humanity, felt like it was slipping through her fingers. In that moment, she realized the full depth of the Queen's power, and the terrifying truth. Once marked, there was no way back. The Queen's curse had already taken root inside her, and no amount of defiance could change her fate. As the Vampire Queen's laughter echoed in her ears, Alice could feel the darkness rising within her. A part of her she had never known was there, now awakened and hungry for more. The curse of Ravencroft was not just a tale, not just a legend. It was an eternal bond, a twisted fate that Alice could no longer outrun, and now, she was its prisoner. Alice wakes up in the inn after her first encounter with the Vampire Queen. The mark of the Queen's claim burns faintly on her skin, but more troubling is the emotional and physical shift she's feeling. She experiences a heightened sensitivity to her surroundings. The whisper of the wind feels like a call, shadows move in the corners of her eyes, and food tastes bland. Her mental state deteriorates as she begins to question her humanity. Conversations with the innkeeper and locals are strained. They notice her pale complexion and her distracted demeanor. Alice begins having vivid dreams of the Vampire Queen. The dreams are a mix of allure and horror, the Queen offers Alice visions of power, immortality, and eternal connection, but also a glimpse of the monstrous acts she would commit to sustain that power. In her dreams, the Queen whispers, "Come to me, Alice. You are already mine." The seductive pull grows stronger, blurring the line between dream and reality. Alice wakes up some nights with bloody fingertips, clutching her bedsheets, and one morning she finds herself at the edge of the forest without memory of how she got there. Desperate to understand what's happening, Alice seeks out an old hermit rumored to know about the supernatural. The hermit, a cryptic figure surrounded by books and charms, reveals the depth of the Queen's curse. The bond you feel is not just a claim but a seed. It will grow until it consumes you unless you resist her with all your soul. The hermit gives Alice a token, a pendant imbued with protective magic, and a warning. If you confront her, you must be certain of your choice. You cannot be half in and half out of her world. The hermit's advice sows doubt and fear but also strengthens Alice's resolve. On the night of the full moon, Alice cannot resist the pull any longer. She dons the hermit's pendant and ventures into the forest. The journey is surreal. The forest seems alive, guiding her. The trees whisper her name, and the air hums with ancient energy. Along the way, she encounters illusions crafted by the Queen, visions of her past, her family, and what her life could be if she gave in. Each vision tempts her to turn back or surrender. Alice battles with her own mind, clinging to fragments of her humanity, and the pendant's warmth becomes her anchor. The palace is a masterpiece of Gothic horror, twisted spires, black stone shimmering under the moonlight, and an air of suffocating dread. Alice hesitates at the entrance, feeling the weight of her decision. Stepping inside feels like crossing into another world. The interior is grand yet haunting, endless corridors, walls lined with blood-red tapestries, and faint whispers echoing around her. She feels both drawn and repelled by its beauty and terror. At the grand staircase, the Queen waits, her presence overwhelming. Alice's legs move involuntarily as if the bond compels her forward. The Queen welcomes Alice with a mixture of affection and dominance. She speaks of the future they could share, the power Alice could wield, and the freedom from mortal fragility. Alice confronts the Queen, demanding to know why she was chosen. The Queen explains that Alice's resilience and fiery spirit intrigued her. She wanted a companion who could match her in strength and will. As the Queen attempts to close the bond permanently, Alice resists, summoning her inner strength and remembering the hermit's warning. Alice's rejection enrages the Queen. The bond manifests physically as glowing tendrils connecting them. A battle of wills ensues, with the Queen trying to overpower Alice. The air crackles with energy as Alice fights back, using the pendant and her defiance as weapons. Alice recalls moments of her life, her humanity, her love for the light, and the people she's fought to protect. Each memory strengthens her resolve. With a final surge of power, Alice shatters the bond, the pain nearly unbearable. The Queen screams, a mix of anger and sorrow, as the connection is severed. Alice collapses but awakens outside the palace, the forest eerily calm. The pendant is cracked, its magic spent, but Alice feels a renewed sense of self. She is still changed, part of the Queen's essence lingers in her, but she has reclaimed her autonomy. She returns to the inn, knowing her battle with the Queen isn't over but determined to forge her own path. The chapter ends with Alice looking into a mirror, her reflection still bearing traces of the Queen's mark but her eyes burning with resolve. I am not yours. I never was. Alice stirs on the forest floor, her body aching from the ordeal of breaking the bond with the vampire Queen. The moonlight filters through the branches, offering a faint sense of solace. Memories of her confrontation with the Queen are fragmented. Alice feels a strange emptiness, as if part of her has been torn away. But there is also a quiet strength, a sense of freedom. She notices subtle changes in herself, her senses are heightened, and the mark left by the Queen still faintly glows on her wrist, a reminder of her brush with immortality. As she surveys her surroundings, Alice realizes she is close to the edge of the forest, where the town of Ravencroft lies. A strange, oppressive silence looms over the area, and she feels a pang of unease. Alice enters Ravencroft to find it transformed. The streets are deserted, the air heavy with an unnatural stillness. Shadows cling to the corners, and the once bustling marketplace now lies in eerie disrepair. She encounters the townspeople, but they are no longer truly alive. Their eyes are vacant, their movements slow and mechanical, as though they are marionettes under an invisible puppeteer's control. Alice learns that the Queen's curse, though weakened, still holds Ravencroft in its grasp. The people are trapped in a liminal state, neither fully alive nor dead, their spirits bound by the remnants of the Queen's power. At the inn, the kindly innkeeper who once offered Alice advice is now a hollow shell, repeating the same phrases over and over. Alice is overcome with guilt and determination. This is the cost of her survival, and she must set it right. Alice returns to the hermit's hut deep in the woods, seeking guidance. The hermit, visibly weakened, explains that breaking the bond with the Queen fractured her hold but didn't destroy it entirely. The hermit reveals that the curse now feeds on Ravencroft itself, tethered to the land and its people. To undo it completely, Alice must destroy the source of the Queen's power, an ancient artifact hidden in the ruins of her palace. However, there is a cost. Destroying the artifact will sever the curse but also strip away the remnants of the Queen's power within Alice, power that has begun to merge with her soul. The decision will not only define Ravencroft's fate but also Alice's future. The hermit offers Alice a cryptic piece of advice: the curse is a mirror. Only when you face the truth of what you've become can you shatter it. Armed with determination, Alice ventures back toward the Vampire Queen's palace. The journey through the forest is fraught with challenges as the land itself seems to resist her progress. She faces illusions conjured by the lingering curse, visions of her loved ones blaming her for their suffering, twisted memories of her life before Ravencroft, and haunting whispers of the Queen's voice. Each step tests Alice's resolve, forcing her to confront her fears, regrets, and the darkness within herself. She begins to question whether she can still call herself human or if the Queen's essence has forever tainted her. At one point, Alice encounters a spectral version of herself, a dark doppelganger who embodies all her doubts and weaknesses. The confrontation is symbolic yet harrowing, leaving her shaken but more resolute.